Stop scrolling for a moment, because if you are a green card holder living in the United States, what just happened in Washington could directly affect your future. A brand new law has officially been signed, and experts are calling it one of the biggest policy shifts for permanent residents in 2026. The changes are already sending shockwaves through immigrant communities, legal offices, and social media, and the reason is simple. The new sanctions are stricter, faster, and far more serious than anything we've seen in recent years. For years, many green card holders believed their permanent resident status offered a strong layer of security. But under this new law, certain violations that once carried minor consequences could now trigger serious immigration penalties, faster investigations, and even potential risks to residency status. And here's the part most people don't realize yet: USCIS has already begun preparing enforcement mechanisms to implement these changes immediately. So what exactly is changing? Which actions could now place green card holders under scrutiny? Could travel, tax issues, or legal mistakes suddenly become much bigger problems? And most importantly, who will actually be affected first? In today's video, we're going to break down the new sanctions, the key rules that every green card holder must understand, and the critical mistakes that could now carry life-changing consequences. Whether you're a permanent resident, planning to apply for a green card, or have family members living in the US, this update is something you absolutely cannot afford to ignore. Before we dive into the details, make sure to like this video so more people can stay informed about these major immigration changes. Right now, across the United States, a quiet but powerful shift is beginning to take shape, one that could change how millions of permanent residents live, travel, and protect their status in 2026. The new law that was just signed is not simply another routine policy update. It represents a deeper change in how immigration compliance will be monitored and enforced, and for many green card holders, the rules that once felt familiar may now feel very different. In the past, permanent residency was widely understood as a stable and long-term status. It offered people the ability to work, live, build families, and pursue opportunities while maintaining a sense of security about their place in the country. But this new law is shifting the conversation. It introduces stronger oversight, clearer enforcement tools, and a framework that allows authorities to respond more quickly when compliance concerns arise. To understand why this law is drawing so much attention, it helps to look at what immigration enforcement agencies have been focusing on over the past few years. Officials have repeatedly stated that they want to close gaps in the system, areas where rules existed but were not always enforced consistently. The goal, according to policymakers, is to make sure that permanent residency continues to function as a privilege tied to responsibility. Supporters of the law argue that it strengthens the credibility of the immigration system by ensuring that everyone follows the same expectations. Critics, however, worry that some residents may be caught off guard if they are not fully aware of how the updated enforcement process works. One of the most significant aspects of the new law involves how immigration records, travel patterns, and residency requirements are reviewed. Permanent residents have always been expected to maintain a genuine connection to the United States, but in practice many people assumed that short-term travel abroad or occasional administrative mistakes would rarely trigger deeper investigations. The new policy signals a shift toward more active monitoring. Immigration officials now have expanded tools to examine whether permanent residents are consistently maintaining the residency requirements tied to their status. For someone who spends long stretches outside the United States or who fails to maintain documentation that demonstrates ongoing ties to the country, the consequences could now arrive faster than before. Another reason this law has captured so much attention is the way it strengthens coordination between different government agencies. In the past, immigration compliance sometimes depended on information that moved slowly between departments. Now, systems are being upgraded so that records related to travel history, employment documentation, and certain legal matters can be reviewed more efficiently. Supporters say this will prevent fraudulent activity and improve the accuracy of immigration records. But for everyday residents, it also means that small inconsistencies that once slipped through the cracks may now be noticed more quickly. For many green card holders, the biggest concern is uncertainty. When laws change, people naturally ask whether the new rules could affect decisions they made years ago. Immigration experts have been reminding residents that most permanent residents who follow the rules and maintain their ties to the United States will likely see little direct impact. However, the message being repeated by attorneys and advisors is clear: awareness matters more than ever. Understanding the obligations that come with permanent residency, things like filing taxes correctly, maintaining a primary residence in the country, and keeping immigration documents up to date has become critically important. Travel is another area where many residents are paying close attention. Permanent residents have always had the ability to travel internationally, but the new enforcement framework places greater emphasis on how those trips fit into the overall pattern of residency. Long absences without proper documentation could raise questions about whether the individual intends to maintain the United States as their primary home. Immigration professionals often recommend that residents keep careful records of travel, employment, and family ties within the country so that if questions arise, they can clearly demonstrate their ongoing connection. The law is also encouraging stronger communication between residents and immigration authorities when changes occur in their lives. Moves to a new address, adjustments in employment status, or extended stays abroad may require updated documentation. In the past, some residents were not fully aware of how important these updates could be. Now, with increased oversight, keeping records accurate and current is becoming an essential part of protecting permanent resident status. At the same time, it is important to remember that the law was not created solely to introduce penalties. Policymakers involved in drafting the legislation have repeatedly emphasized that the goal is to create a more transparent and accountable system. When expectations are clearly defined and enforcement is consistent, they argue, it benefits both the government and the residents who rely on the immigration system for stability. For many permanent residents who already follow the rules closely, the changes may simply reinforce practices they have maintained for years. Still, the conversation around this law reflects a deeper reality about immigration policy in the United States. Laws evolve as governments respond to new economic conditions, technological capabilities, and public debates. What feels stable in one decade may look very different in the next. For immigrants who have built their lives in the country, staying informed about these shifts is one of the most effective ways to avoid unexpected complications. Legal professionals have already begun advising their clients to review their immigration records carefully. Something as simple as verifying the accuracy of travel dates, ensuring that tax filings are consistent, and confirming that personal information on file with immigration authorities is correct can make a significant difference. When documentation is clear and organized, responding to any questions from officials becomes far easier. Another factor shaping the discussion around the new law is the broader digital modernization of immigration services. Over the past few years, agencies have invested heavily in technology that allows records to be stored, reviewed, and shared electronically. This modernization process is designed to reduce delays and improve efficiency, but it also means that data is easier to analyze. Patterns that once took months to identify can now be recognized much more quickly. For residents, this reinforces the importance of accuracy and transparency in every document submitted to immigration authorities. Families are also paying close attention to how the law might affect long-term plans. Many permanent residents eventually hope to apply for citizenship, and maintaining a clean and consistent immigration record is a key part of that journey. While the new law focuses primarily on enforcement related to residency obligations, the broader message it sends is that careful compliance strengthens the path toward naturalization. People who maintain clear records and demonstrate long-term commitment to the country often find the citizenship process smoother when the time comes. It is also worth noting that immigration policy discussions rarely end with a single law. As agencies begin implementing the new rules, additional guidance and clarifications are likely to emerge. Government departments typically release updated instructions, educational resources, and outreach programs to help residents understand their responsibilities. For many people, staying connected with reliable information sources, whether through legal advisors, community organizations, or official government announcements, will be essential. In immigrant communities across the United States, conversations about the new law are already unfolding. Some people feel concerned about how the changes might affect their daily lives, while others see the law as a reminder to stay proactive about their immigration responsibilities. Community organizations have started hosting informational meetings, helping residents review documentation and answer questions about travel, residency, and compliance. What stands out in all of these discussions is a shared recognition that knowledge is one of the most powerful tools available to immigrants. When people understand the rules that shape their status, they are better equipped to make decisions that protect their future. The new law may introduce stricter oversight, but it also highlights how important it is for residents to stay informed, organized, and engaged with the system that governs their status. As the implementation phase continues through 2026, immigration agencies will likely refine their procedures and provide additional updates. For green card holders watching these developments, the most practical approach is to remain attentive to official guidance while continuing to maintain the responsibilities that come with permanent residency. By keeping records accurate, respecting travel guidelines, and staying connected to reliable information, residents can navigate these changes with greater confidence. Ultimately, the story of immigration in the United States has always been one of adaptation. Policies evolve, systems modernize, and communities respond by learning, adjusting, and moving forward. The new law is simply the latest chapter in that ongoing process. For millions of permanent residents who have built careers, families, and dreams in the country,